informative presentation from Mr. Doctor, and he'll be giving us a presentation around eating and living well, and then the floor will be open to you to ask any questions you may have. Okay, and so before we get started, just a reminder, if you can please pop your speakers on mute for now. You will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end. Please do switch on your cameras. We would like to see your faces. We want to know who's there, who's listening, who's with us this afternoon. And if you do have a question, please raise your hand. But as I said, you will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end. Okay, so I'd like to introduce Mr. Vincent, a doctor, and I look forward to listening to your presentation on eating well and living well. Thank you very much.
I'll stop sharing the screen now so that the speaker can share the screen.
Oh, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome. I first of all want to thank the ALIBSA team for giving me this privilege to be part of this all-important discussion this evening. And thank you, everyone, for joining this evening webinar. As said earlier on, my name is Vincent, a doctor who, and I'm a registered dietitian. And tonight, as already outlined by Alus and the one who introduced me, we are going to be looking at eating well, living well, why food, culture, and health matter to all of us. I want to start by looking at what we intend to achieve at the end of this particular discussion. So it is my hope that by the end of this particular discussion, we will appreciate how much chronic disease affects our communities, especially the Black and Asian community, where we are talking about here, and to know the key principles of eating well and how to apply them using guides that are built around our own cultural kitchens, and to commit to at least one change that we can start very probably after this particular discussion. So this is not going to be a lecture. I expect participatory. So I would like you to start by looking at, we shall start with a quick poll and then talk through why this matters to all of us in this particular webinar today, and to look at eating well principles and cultural food guides, and then cover key nutrients and practical tips of how we can be able to achieve such practical tips. And then we'll share results, because there's nothing new under this sun. People have done it before, so we share some live experience in our various practices. So, and then there'll be contributions to the presentation, and then we can take questions and then answers. So this is the outline of today's webinar presentation. So as I said, I would like us to begin with a poll by looking at what health concerns worries the most as one advances in age. So you can scan the QR code or join at slido.com and then put in the number that appears on the screen, and we can continue with the discussion together.
If you are struggling to get Slido, I think a lot of people are typing it. Please do that. Please use the chat box as well to answer the question.
Yeah, that's interesting comments. So let me add that in this scenario, there's no wrong or correct answer. So just feel free to share whatever. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for this wonderful contribution. These are perfectly right. We are all right in outlining what we expect as we age. And so what I want to focus on today is those that are, though all these are diet related, but are those that are more diet related. So why this conversation matters to us is that as South Asians and African Caribbean communities live in the UK and around the world, faces 2 to 4 times the risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to other populations. And but there's good news. The good news is that about 80% of these conditions that we have outlined can be prevented through diet and therapeutic lifestyle changes. Also, chronic diseases are not inevitable, and the nutrition that prevents it works across all kitchens around the world. It is not for a particular group of people. Healthy diet is proven to be effective in the management or prevention of onset of several chronic diseases. And as the father of medicine, Hippocrates said, let thy food be thy medicine, and let thy medicine be thy food. And that we should take our food as if it's our medicine now. If not, later on in our lives, we'll take our medicine as if it's our food. This all emphasizes the single importance of diet when it comes to preventing of several conditions that we are likely to face as we advance in age. So just to give an overview of some chronic lifestyle diseases that we sometimes or we are likely to be facing as we advance in age, the causes. And in the causes, I want to look at them in 2 scenarios. We have the modifiable risk factors and then the non-modifiable risk factors. So if you look at type 2 diabetes, for instance, which affects a lot of people, research indicates that abdominal fats, or what we call visceral obesity, is a predisposing factor for the development of type 2 diabetes as it results in insulin resistance. And as we all know, the transition in nutrition comes with a lot of factors, like the consumption of ultra-processed foods and high sugars, leading to high spikes of glucose, and that can also be a predisposing factor for the development of type 2 diabetes. And physical inactivity also reduce glucose uptake, which can all contribute to the development of diabetes, as well as genetics. And as we outlined earlier, literature indicates that South Asian and Afro-Caribbean origins have higher chance of developing some of these conditions compared to other populations. And the same goes for hypertension. We have high intake of sodium, which we often say is found in salt. And intake, there are actually other foods that contain so much sodium in them, like the processed foods, so which are all contributing factors to the development of hypertension. And these conditions can be factors that will lead to the development of other chronic diseases such as other cardiovascular diseases, stroke, kidney diseases, and others chronic that we likely to face as we advance in age. So I would like us to come together again and to, what does eating well mean to you? Because we're saying that eating well can help in the prevention of or proper management of some of these conditions that we spoke about. But I want us together to look at, if they say eating well, what does it mean to you? So as we did in the first Slido, we can scan again or join at the number below, and then we can contribute to what we think eating well mean to us as individuals. That's great. I see balanced diet, fresh fruits and vegetables, including of carbs, protein, proper nutrition. All right, so I think these are excellent contributions, which are all true. So when we talk about healthy diet, and before I go, let me say diet is what one usually eats, not what you eat at a go, but what you be eating. Maybe for breakfast, what you eat for lunch, for supper. So healthy diet, there are 7 principles when it comes to ensuring that your diet is healthy, and we're going to go through each of these as even outlined earlier by our participants. So eating enough is a key principle when you come to healthy eating or healthy diet. So you need to have adequate diet to fuel your body regularly with enough food. That is just enough for your daily activities. So principle 1 of a healthy diet, or a healthy principle of planning healthy diet, is having adequate diet or enough diet in our intakes. And then, as said earlier on by some of you, having a balanced plate. And balance here means making sure that your plate contains all foods across all the various food groups: protein, carbohydrates, veggies, protein, and everything that all the food groups that are concerned. There's no particular food that is a superfood that contains everything. So you actually need all the food in your plate. So making sure that your plate is balanced can contribute to ensuring that you are going to have a healthy diet. And then also ensuring variety. So within every particular food group, we have different variety. You have different food. Like within the vegetable group, you can have broccoli, you can have spinach, you can have tomato, and the rest. So it is not that you should continue to eat just one particular food, but within a particular group, then you need to eat different varieties within a particular group to be able to attain a healthy diet. And then also try to enjoy your food in moderation, especially those that are empty calorie, those that are high in salt, those that are high in sugars, those that are high in high glycemic index foods need to be consumed in moderation. And then also try to make sure the food that you consume is nutrient dense, making sure that it does not just contain only energy, but it do contain other nutrients such as the minerals, vitamins, proteins. So any food that is high in calorie but low in nutrient is a junk or an empty caloric food, and that will not contribute to healthy diet. So for you to have healthy diet, you must make sure your diet is nutrient dense, meaning that it cuts across different foods and contain different nutrients. And then also making sure you have calorie control, just taking enough, balance your energy with whatever that you burn. You're going to, depending on the work you are going to do per day, you don't need to consume so much food when you are going to sit in one place for the whole day. So you need to balance your calorie intake with your activity. So making sure your input balance that of your output. And more importantly, time is very, very important. Making sure that you eat at regular intervals and do not skip your meals unless medically sanctioned. And then plan your meals ahead of time. Most of us sometimes, excuse me, but we don't take food serious. We only want to go for food when we see that we're hungry, but that might not contribute to healthy diet. But making sure that you plan ahead of time, that can help you to be able to have a healthy diet. You can eat all the good food, but if the timing is wrong, that can affect your diet, and that can substantially affect your health. So these are the basic principles of maintaining or achieving a healthy diet. Okay, so next, I want us to look at culturally, how do we make sure that our food, our food is not a problem, but it is how we eat them or when we eat them that can either predispose us to have the development of certain diet-related conditions. So for cultural food by themselves are not bad. So your cultural food is not a problem, but it is how they are combined or how they're eaten that may either affect us or help us in terms of our health. So I wanted to look at, for instance, in the Afro-Caribbean part, how do we make sure that our cultural food are combined or are eaten in such a way that they do not predispose us to the development of disease that we do not want to battle as we advance in age. So the principles cut across, either it is Asian, it is African, or it is Black. The principle is the same thing. The only difference is the type of food that we are going to pay attention to. So for instance, for the African Caribbean Eat Well Guide, this was actually adapted from the Eat Well Plate, WHO Eat Well Plate, but with African food populated to the guide. So you can see about half of the plate occupied by fruits and vegetables, like watermelon, we have cucumber, we have cabbages, spinach, and then another almost a quarter also by the carbohydrates, yam, cassava, fufu, porridges, sweet potato, among others. And you can see that a small portion of the guide is indicated to choose fat and the unhealthy fat sparingly and reduce the intake of refined carbohydrates as well, and making sure that we have enough intake of water alongside, and also balancing that with physical activity. And also making sure we read food labels to ensure that the food, whatever food that we're going to consume, actually we know what it contains and how much we need to take. But excuse me to say, but most of us, usually when we go for shopping, we do not look at the labels, but it is very important if you want to eat healthily. So this is in the case of the cultural adapted guide for the African Caribbean population. And as I said, the principle is the same thing. The only difference is the various foods that we are looking at. So in the case of Indian population, so we are looking at the vegetables also occupying about half of the plate, a quarter of it being healthy proteins like fish, and then healthy grain, whole grains also occupying. And in the case of the Chinese pagoda, it's the same thing, but the Chinese is presented in the forms of a pyramid where we have the brother and then the upper, so also indicating at the top part, oils, salts, and other refined carbohydrates are reduced to the minimal for healthy eating. So the main principle behind this plate is what we call the acceptable micronutrient distribution range. But this is the science of it. But we can't be communicating science to everybody. But if you're able to go by the plate, you are likely to be able to achieve this. And this is where you can be able to have good health through good nutrition. So the recommendation says that 45 to 50%, 55% of your energy to come from carbohydrates and 20 to 35% to come from fat, and proteins to constitute 10 to 35%. So when you are able to go by any of these guides that we spoke about, ensuring the portions are maintained, you are likely to be able to achieve this particular scientific proven evidence that if you consume, if you're able to achieve this, then you are likely to be able to have good nutrition that can be able to prevent you from developing or development of other conditions as we advance in age. So some key nutrients for prevention and longevity I just wanted to look at. For instance, dietary fiber is very important. And if we can swap your white rice for parboiled rice or brown rice, oats or beans and vegetables, it will go a long way to help you achieve the intake of the recommended portion of dietary fiber. And sodium, also very important in our cardiovascular health. And these can be gotten from bananas, sweet potato, leafy greens, and sodium, which is also a key nutrient when it comes to hypertension and the development of other conditions, we need to be taken care of. So by limiting intake of salt to less than 5 grams, and if you can replace that with other herbs, that would go a long way to also help. And having good quality proteins 3 to 4 times a week, and then making sure you include plant-based protein as well in your diet, and healthy fats which contain omega-3 are all very important for our health. And vitamin D also critical. And for those living in UK and other colder areas, often during winter, it is recommended or advisable to have supplements by maybe with the recommendation from your GP, you can be able to have supplements that can be able to, because at that time you might not be able to have adequate vitamin D. That is very important in the metabolism of calcium, which is very good for our bones health. And very importantly, medications are very important. So what I'm saying here does not mean that you should substitute your diet with your medication. You always need to discuss with your GP any changes that you need to undertake, and probably your registered dietitian, especially if you are on medication like antihypertensives, like metformin or warfarin. You need to discuss that with your GP before you take any recommendations. So again, I want us to have another interactive session. By this time around, I want us to look at, from what we have discussed so far, what is that one change that you have been waiting to make or you want to make so far as contributing to healthy eating is concerned. So again, like we did earlier on, you can go ahead to scan the QR code and share that one change that you wish or you've been planning to make, or you have made already. You can do that by either choosing any of the presented options that we have here. Okay, I can see in the chat, eating more fruits and avoiding oily fatty foods. That's great. Be more physically active, very important. And I can see all of these options. Yes, and that's true. So these are all ways by which we can promote healthy life through healthy eating. So All right, so, all right. So these are basic tips that we can adapt to ensure that we have healthy diet. Base meals on high fiber and starchy carbs, as we outlined earlier, at least making sure half of your plate is filled with whole grains, brown rice, and then having a lot of fruit and vegetables as well, and reducing salt intake, and then getting more active as shared by most of you in the chat. And also, do not skip your breakfast unless otherwise by any medical professional, by your GP or by a dietitian. Remember the saying that take your breakfast as a king, your lunch like a prince, and your supper like a pauper, stressing the importance of breakfast in your diet. Most of the times when we skip breakfast, we intend to overeat in the next meals. And as we discussed in our previous slides about the principle of healthy eating, keeping calorie control is very, very important if you want to attain healthy diet for healthy life. So when you skip breakfast, you are likely to overeat your subsequent meals. I know of intermittent fasting, but if it is intermittent fasting, it must be done and done proper so that you will not end up having to overload later on or having to eat more later on in the day when you do not actually need that. So these are basic practical tips that we can be able to achieve healthy diet. And steps we can start today, I'll advise we need to know our numbers, checking our nutritional status, for instance, checking our BMI, checking our waist circumference, very important. Visceral obesity, as we realized earlier on, is a key factor in the development of insulin resistance. So there's a need for you to know your waist circumference, which often can be used to tell your visceral obesity status. And for Blacks, African, Caribbean origin, for males, your waist circumference should not exceed 102 centimeters, and for females, should not exceed 94 centimeters. And for Asian population, is often at 90 centimeters for males and 80 centimeters for females. So there's a need for you to know these your numbers, your glucose level, and importantly, if you can check your glycated hemoglobin as well, your blood pressure, and this can go a long way to help you to be able to determine whether you are in the right direction or not. And eating more plants if you can, that is also very important, and making sure you stay hydrated. Most of the times we only drink water or we go for flea when we feel like we are thirsty, which is wrong. By the time your body, that signals come that you're thirsty, it means that you're actually in a danger zone. So there's a need to make sure that you hydrate very well, and then choose better carbs, choose whole grains instead of the ultra processed ones, and then making sure that you cut down the intake of sugar and salt, and making sure you keep yourself active at least 30 minutes of exercise most days within the week. With this, these are practical examples from personal practice with names not being included. Remember, I have a client who came with pre-diabetic, and simple things like swapping white rice for parboiled rice 3 times a week, adding leafy green, plantain, and then for lunch, and replace stock cubes with herbs and ginger, and just walk 20 minutes after every dinner, prove to have resulted in a very good result by reducing the person's glycated hemoglobin, returning to normal, within a space of 3 months. So it is not always having bigger things done, but the simple things, if you know and we do them, they can go a long way to help us remain healthy. So this is what as we head towards the end of this particular discussion, I want to encourage that we will try to replace white rice with parboiled rice. If you can't, you can mix them together. This can go a long way to have your glucose control and then prevent you from developing any of the non-communicable disease that we discussed. And then to have pure intake of fizzy drinks and having prepared meals at home if you can. That is very important, because if you are cooking at home, you know what ingredient goes inside your food. But cooking from outside or eating from outside, you might not know what goes inside. So you may know all what we need to do, but if you are not able to cook your own food, you may still have some challenges, as you may not be able to actually control what goes inside, what people prepare outside for you. So if you can prepare your own meals, it's good enough. But if you can't, you try to make sure whatever you take is balanced. And you make sure you book an appointment with your GP to check your numbers, to know where you stand. So as we come to conclusion, this is what my take-home messages are: that chronic disease are likely preventable through evidence-based dietary changes. It is preventable through prudent and evidence-based dietary practice. And I want you to know that your cultural food is not a problem. It is how you combine them, or how you eat, or what you do with it, that is a problem. But your food, they say, is not a problem. So knowing what to do with the food, or when to eat it, how to eat it, is very important. And not making so much drastic changes. Simple but sustained changes are very important. Having community literacy like ALIBSA is doing, I want to commend them for this webinars we've been organizing. This is very important to be able to make knowledge available to people who actually need them. And I'm forever grateful for being part of this evening discussion. And then you can see your what we have discussed here is predominantly general eating or healthy eating guidelines or principles. But for personalized nutrition or eating guidelines, I'll recommend you see a registered dietitian who will be able to do proper assessment and to come out with diagnosis and to be able to make the necessary intervention that you need. So on this note, I want to say a very big thank you to ALIBSA and all those of you who have joined, and invite for contributions to the presentation, and as well as questions and then answers. Thank you so much for this your time. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much for that. That was a wonderful presentation. And the key thing I found was there's so many things we could start doing now. I already have made like a lot of things here. Those are two things I want to do, and I think that's probably what ALIBSA really does for the community. It gives people actionable points, and then that helps us to live better and longer. So thank you so much for that presentation, Vincent.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vincent. Please, if you have any question, please, you can raise up your hand, and you can still put that in the chat box as well. Okay, we have Mr. Tunde Falola. Please go ahead, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Doctor,
sir.
good evening, ALIBSA members and team. God bless you all. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. My question is just this issue of when you wake up in the morning, they say you should drink water. And when you want to drink water, you either add lemon or this. What is the benefits? If you don't add water, and if you don't add lemon or you add lemon, what is the benefit? Thank you.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please answer.
That's
Mr.
it. I just want to know if what is the benefits and what is the advantages of adding lemon without adding lemon. Is there anything wrong about it, or If you don't add it, whether it's going to add anything, if you add it, whether it's going to be adding to anything in the body, apart from the food and any other thing that we want to do. Thank you very much. We have that we should not skip meals. Definitely that is good. And all the things that we have had, definitely I will put it into practice. God bless you. Thank you very much. That's my question.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vincent.
Thank you so much for that wonderful question. So, you know, in this era of, let me say, social media, a lot of information, there are a lot of thousands of information recommendation by everyone out there. To me, water is irreplaceable. Whether you're adding lime, adding lemon, you're adding anything to it, water, our bodies, is made up of over 70% of water. And any activity within the body is done within the medium of water. So there's nothing more beneficial than taking your raw water. However, adding lime to it, I've seen a lot of people coming to say, if you want to lose weight, if you want to increase your metabolism, if you want to do A, B, C, D, you need to add lime to it. All that granted, but if you can take your normal water without necessarily adding this, it will still serve the purpose for which your body needs the water for. So, but there are some people too who might not be able to take the raw water for the quantity that they will need per day, at least a glass of water per day. There are some people who cannot just take the raw water. So for them, if they're able to add like the lime or the lemon or something that will be able to make them to take the water, provided it's not adding more calories or more energies that are not actually needed at that time, to me, it is not anything bad. But if you can take your normal water without adding the lime or the lemon, whatever, it will still benefit you. But if you go ahead to add those ones to it, and you can take it, provided you're not adding sugar or anything that will increase or give you unnecessary calories, it's fine. But as I said, every recommendation, people these days can put anything out there. They have a lot of myths out there. So that is why it is always important for you to consult with your GP or a registered health professional to, if you plan to undertake any recommendation just on social media, it is good you seek your GP's consent or advice before you go ahead taking anything from social media. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for that. The next question here is, what is the implication of using GLP-1 injections?
You mean for those who
Yes.
want to reduce in like weight management?
I think that's the question is, what is the implication of using GLP-1 injections? Probably the person is trying to understand what that would have on one's health, or what could be the function as well. The complications.
So for instance, this is an open question. It will depend on the purpose for which you are taking the injection. Is it that it's recommended by your GP, or you have certain health issue, or you are just taking it for fun? So on this scenario, I might not be able to say, oh, this is good or this is bad, but based on your reason for taking and for who recommended it for you, is it just for personal recommendation, or you are, so with things of this nature, what I recommend is to discuss with your GP first before you take any injection to your body.
Thank you. With my another question here, with my local or cultural foods, it's quite difficult to often determine the nutritional value of them. What advice can you give in consuming them?
Yeah, thank you so much. As I said during the presentation, our food is not actually the problem. In fact, for the African, Caribbean, Asian food, they are all very nutritious foods, very wholesome foods. But with the current system of the current food systems coming with so much ultra processed food, sometimes we think like what we have is inferior. But as a registered dietitian, I can knock my chest and say that our homegrown, wholesome food are excellent. The only thing you need to do is to make sure they are combined in the right proportions, as we outlined in the adapted eating guide, making sure that you have balance of all the foods that, and in our communities, we have different variety of food. So just making sure that you are not just sticking to one particular food, but making sure you have variety, you have balance, and making sure that you are not just consuming one food in excess, but in moderation and having it enough for your daily needs. But our cultural foods are excellent. I just need to make sure you combine it. So the Eat Well Guide Pyramid can help you to be able to put your cultural food, whether you are from Asia, you are from an African, Caribbean, any of those guides that we said earlier on can be able to help you to be able to combine your food such a way that you can be able to achieve a healthy diet.
Thank you for that. Another question here. Please, I would like to know which one is more appropriate, drinking water before eating or after?
Yeah, this is a very controversial issue that everywhere I find ourselves as a practitioner, it keeps coming up. You see, sometimes the best is to have your water before, but during meals, you might not have to be drinking water as you are eating. And then after maybe an hour, you can have your water as well. But you see, sometimes why many people go ahead to drink water while they're eating is actually they have not met their fluid requirements maybe during the day. So in eating, after the food is eaten, food needs to be digested, and it needs, apart from the chemical digestion, the chemical digestion need to take place in aqueous solution. So at the point where the food you are eating the food, your body needs fluid to be able to digest the food. And at that point, you see, you have not met your daily water intake. That is why people are forced to drink water while they're eating. But if you are actually able to drink your water, wake up in the morning, you have your glass of water, then maybe some 2 hours, you continue to drink, there will not be need for you to have water in addition to as we are eating. So the best is you can drink your water before, and then after your food, you can have your water as well.
Thank you very much for that. Can eating balanced meal reverse a type 2 diabetes?
Yeah, so for instance, the case scenario I presented during the earlier discussion, for type 2 diabetes, we know it is there's insulin resistance. So eating healthy can in a way help you to be able to manage this condition very well. And one of the markers of diabetes is the glycated hemoglobin, the HbA1c. So, and in that case scenario, it shows that the case was the condition or the client was able to have normal glycated hemoglobin after following diet for a period of time. So, and we said most of the predisposing factors circle around visceral obesity. They have so much adipose tissue, visceral fat that lead to insulin resistance. So if you are able to adapt healthy diet and your body cells are able to respond, or you're able to go past the insulin resistance, then probably you might be able to have a controlled diabetes. If it is not able to resolve it in all at all, but you should be able to control your sugars appropriately.
Okay, thank you for that. And someone is asking, between breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is truly the most important meal of the day? And if I want to skip one or two, which which is recommended to do so? Which one is recommended?
Thank you so much for this question. To me, the best to me is not to skip any of them, because they are all important. Because once you are skipping them for no reason, if there's a reason why you want to skip, yes, then with the help of a registered dietitian with your GP, you can be able to plan well and to see which one. If you are going for intermittent fasting for a reason, then you're able to plan well. But to skip any of them, it's not the best, because you don't need, the body doesn't need all the energy at once. So it needs to be gradual. And as I said earlier on, breakfast is so important. As the saying goes, breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and supper like a pauper. But your breakfast is so important. When you miss your breakfast, don't take time. Most of your day plans, as far as your eating is concerned, maybe jump up, because your next meal, instead of eating adequate, you may end up, or eating moderation, you may end up eating to maybe to cover for what you missed earlier on. And also, skipping meals can sometimes lead to reducing your metabolism. There's research indicates that skipping of meals can affect your metabolism in some way. And once your metabolism is affected, it can affect your health in so many ways. It can lead to obesity, and for obesity, diabetes, and other conditions setting. So my best answer is not to skip meals, but if you skip, you need to see a professional so that proper assessment can be done before to give you the good plan that you need to follow. You're going to do intermittent fasting, are you doing 12-14, are you doing 10-14, so whichever way. But you will need a professional to be able to guide you to take this decision proper.
Thank you. So thank you so much for this lecture. But I think skipping breakfast is ideal, but to the lecture now is not good. Will eating 3 meals will not make one add weight? Thanks.
Yeah, so so you're talking about eating 3 meals. Yeah, so that way it depends on the principles. Everything circle around this healthy eating principles, 7 of them. So anytime you want to take any action, you can look at any of these. You are looking at moderation. If you eat in moderation for 3 meals, I don't think you end up putting weight, unless you want to overload at a particular point in time. And then looking at your calorie control, eating enough, adequacy, balancing. So if you factor all these principles, I don't think you're going to end up putting weight, and then also making sure that it balances your expenditure. You're not just eating for eating sake. Just that we didn't factor that inside here, but everybody, there is an amount of energy that you need per day. So if you're able to see a professional who will be able to assess your basal metabolic rate well, person will be able to plan and tell you how much of food you need to eat for breakfast, lunch, and supper. And at the end, it will not add any weight to your weight. But it is when you abuse these principles, maybe instead of eating enough, you want to clean your plate. I used to teach in one nursing school where we used to have fun. That for food to go waste, man must best. You don't have to clean your plate. So if you want to eat more than what you actually need for 3 meals, you buy meals. There's no way. But when you're putting inside and you are not expending, that means you have excess, which will result in weight gain.
Thank you for that. Please, eating too fast and eating slow, which is good, and what are the benefits of both?
Yes, very important. As one of the principles of healthy eating is about timing. Timing is very important. You can eat enough, you can eat balanced, you can eat adequately, but the way you eat can also affect your diet or your general health. For instance, in eating, there is often the communication. God in his own way has made such a way that there's communication between the stomach and the brain. And it takes about 20 minutes for that communication to be done, for you to have satiety. So eating very quickly can suppress some of these signals that can make you to either overeat or also eating too slowly can also make this signal to send signal that, oh, we are okay, when you are not actually okay. So for my professional practice, evidence-based, what I've seen is recommended at least 20 minutes of your time. Take time, eat your food, and while you're eating, concentrate on your food. And these days, we're eating and we're chatting and we're watching social media, so we don't even know what we want. So at the end, we either overeat or we don't eat up to how much we actually need. But actually taking your time to eat your food, when it's time for your food, give that time to the food. And when it's time for other things, give time for those things. As Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said, take your food as if it's your medicine now. If not, later on in your life, you take your medicine as if it's your food. So when you're taking your food, give all your attention to your food, and then make sure that you have what to do after your food.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Alosh, I don't know if you want to take the photo now, and I'll take the next question. What are the lessons from the Mediterranean diet in terms of gains and benefits?
Just on that, sorry, Evelyn. Could you stop sharing the screen so that actually I can take the picture? That might be better.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. I'll just yeah, I'll just take a screenshot now.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And what are the, I think on the Mediterranean diets, the benefits, please. You're on mute.
Yeah. Look at the Mediterranean diet, just opposed to what we discussed about the health eating principles. Most of them aligns perfectly with this Mediterranean diet of including whole grains, healthy fat, omega-3 fatty acids, fruits and vegetables. So these are same benefit like having a healthy diet. So these are similar to what we discussed, all the benefits we spoke about healthy eating. Observing these principles have a similar principle like the Mediterranean diet.
Thank you. We have Mr. Sunday Falola.
Thank
Please.
you, Doctor, for
Yes.
all your presentations and the answers you have given. Beautiful ones. My question is on this garlic and ginger. Is it advisable, or when is it advisable to take this ginger or garlic, before food or after food? Because there are so many things you are hearing on the medical these things. I want to know so that I'll be able to take it because of the medicinals and that are in the items, so that it will not affect the blood or the whatever inside us. Is it before food or after food? When is it advisable to take them? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. And as I said earlier on, these days there's so much information out there that if you don't take your time, you end up harming yourself than trying to help yourself. So talking about garlic, ginger, and all those ones, sometimes to me, these are personalized recommendations that I may give, depending on your status, your medical history. For instance, you know that some of these spices can lead to secretions. Let's say if you are having ulcer or you have any underlying conditions, you go ahead taking it into empty stomach. Some of them can cause other. So, but the best is to add them to your food and eat, but not eating it before and then after meals. It's not something that I have any evidence or scientific, let's say, response to that, oh, take it before or after, that will give you this benefit. But no, these days, social media, that evidence may be there, but to me, as a professional, I have not come across that taking garlic before or taking ginger before meals, which is the best. And I cannot say take it before or take it after. But what I know is that these are natural spices which contain very important nutrients that if they are combined your meals and your diet, they can go a long way to contribute to your overall health. But as we're taking them alone before or after, which is the best, I do not have, sorry to say, I do not have any specific answer to that as to taking it before or after meals, then the benefits accrue to that. But I know they are very good spices that can be used to replace like salt. If you try to reduce your salt intake, if you know too much salt contains sodium, that can affect your health. And these are good substitutes that you can add to your meals. But taking them alone before and after, maybe after this, I also check and see if there's any empirical evidence to the importance as to before, after, which is best. Thank you.
I think that is a bit of the answer to the next question. How about ginger and garlic used in all basic cooking?
Yeah, so as I said, these are all natural spices. They're very good for. So if you can add them to your meals, they're excellent sources. Some people even grind it for curry as their tea. So they are good for your health. But as we said, everything there should be moderation principles. So don't say because it's good, you go and then just take one bowl and say they say this thing is good. So everything should be in moderation, and then variety, not just concentrating on that ginger and garlic alone. There's no single particular food that contains everything that your body needs. You need variety. So within that group, we have different spices. So there's a need for you to combine all of them, not just concentrating on one particular. When you concentrate on one particular, it means you are violating the principle of variety, and which is one of the principles of healthy eating. So which may not be to your health. But as I said, we have personalized nutrition. So this may not go away to answer everybody, but generally, this is what I can say for now.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I think we are running over, but we could have about 10 minutes, if that will be fine, just for more questions. But if you have other questions, you can still post it to the group chats, the ALIBSA group, for more information, the announcement group. But now I'll take this. Is it possible for regulators to regulate information overload on social media regarding health advices from social platform as it does impact some people's negativity?
Yes, I think it's a question for all of us to look at. And I think ALIBSA is having that voice. So I think let's all look at it. What do you think? It's all of us. Because regulation is very important. If everything is left open, everyone's like a free state, nothing controls anything. So the regulatory bodies are there, but most of the time, some of these informations come from people who are not being regulated by any agency, like GPs, nutritionists, dietitians, physiotherapists, laboratory scientists. You don't see anyone going ahead saying something that the person do not have any evidence to it. But people who are not regulated by anybody sometimes go to social media, just pick any information and then throw it out there. So definitely, there's a need for these controls to be in place. If not, one day we'll wake up to hear that if you go and drink seawater, you will never die, and people will rush into the sea with jerry cans to fetch water to home. So there's a need for regulation, and I believe these regulations are there, but social media is so broad, people so find way of doing their own. That's why it is important to always consult your GP prior to making any decision regarding your health.
Thank you very much for that. For people that are still with us or that have been with us on the WhatsApp community group, the ALIBSA community group, thank you for that. And if you're new here, you can still use the link here to join the chat. Thank you. And I'll leave the floor to Alash.
Thank you very much for that. Let me just share my screen. So that would be, then we can just go back into the Q&A. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Vincent, for that presentation and for the questions. So on the screen now, we would like your feedback. We're not expecting you to do this now. There are quite a few questions, but we would like your feedback. ALIBSA has a app in development, and we want you to help with the development of that app. So please take a photo of the QR code, or click or take a copy of the.
Just a correction, Marcia, sorry. So this feedback is actually just about the webinar itself. So
okay.
it is quite short, so only 4 questions.
Okay, so sorry about that. Apologies. Thank you, Alosh. So this is just feedback around ALIBSA. So please do take a photo of the QR code and complete it, because it is your ALIBSA as well as our ALIBSA. So we want to, make it for you.
Wonderful. I've just shared the QR code in the chat as well. Sorry, the link to in the chat as well. So if anyone is struggling with the QR code, please do access the link. And yeah, as Marcia said, your opinion is what's shaping ALIBSA. So thank you so much for Vincent and Doctor for that presentation. So that was absolutely wonderful. Again, like I've mentioned, there's so many things that we could take home now, and the questions were all answered. There were some great questions as well. Some of those things I've been thinking about myself. So going forward, we've got our next webinar on the 20th of July. It's a little bit early due to some scheduling issues for our speaker, but our presentation, our topic would be colon cancer awareness and what you would need to know as a community. So we would have Dr. Olayinka Aduinumi, who's a consultant general surgeon who specializing in colon cancer, and he would be able to tell us about what we need to know about colon cancer. So this would be on the 20th of July, same time. So please do join us for that as well. So I just want to end this webinar. We'll play a video, etc., about ALIBSA for people who haven't seen ALIBSA. But then I really want to thank Mr. Vincent the Doctor for such a tremendous presentation. That was wonderful, and thank you everyone who have joined us in this presentation. I really hope that you have taken some notes that again change the life in little meaningful ways, but that can then support our entire life. Thank you very much for Marcia, and obviously all of ALIBSA for making this possible as well.
Thank you, Alosh.
I'll just play a quick video about ALIBSA as we finish off, just about explaining ALIBSA in a bit more detail. And please, if you are new to ALIBSA, please join us. There will be loads for you to learn as we grow. Thank you, everyone.
My name is Fatiha Nei Odumosu, and I'm an associate professor of physical activity and health promotion in UWI Bristol. I founded ALIBSA, and I'm the lead on ALIBSA. So ALIBSA is an acronym from Aging Lifestyle in Blacks and Asians. It's a knowledge exchange program which is focused on improving health literacy among the ethnic minority background. So the focus is on the Black and Asian communities, because that's where I'm from, and that's where the majority of the admin members are from. And we're quite passionate about reducing health inequalities based on the existing health disparities that occur within this group of people.
I'm Chang Ma. I'm a senior lecturer in public health at UWI Bristol. So my role within this ALIBSA network is acting as an admin member and also a collaborator for the ALIBSA network, and also helping to promote this network to the Chinese ethnic minority, and also helping them to have a better understanding about the importance of physical activity and nutrition. Through this network, we can spread this physical activity message to the community.
Yeah, the brain behind ALIBSA is made up of 6 admin members, which include my humble self, Alosh Jos, who is the CEO of Cricket Cube, a community-driven cricket business company based in Newcastle. We also have 2 medical doctors on the team, Dr. Giselle and Dr. Abolanle Adesupe, as well as a doctoral researcher, Oluwatobi Fatola. We have Dr. Cheng Ma, who is also a senior lecturer in public health as well. ALIBSA provides a platform whereby community members from the Black and Asian ethnic groups could be empowered through health literacy. And we feel that this would reduce health inequalities among this group of people, thereby increasing access to health services. We believe that when people are literate about their health condition, they have autonomy over their health, they are quite empowered over their health, and they have self-confidence to access health services, and that will go a long way in reducing health disparities among these communities. We will understand the barriers they face in accessing health services, and we can collectively work together to look at a well-tailored form of interventions that would enable them to access these health services. So ALIBSA is a program that helps to empower the communities. We run our monthly webinars, which involves inviting multidisciplinary group of speakers that give tailored health-related topics. And we use this platform to engage the communities on the experience with related topics. Outside the webinar, we have a robust WhatsApp community which has over 120 members, and we do engage with our community members when it comes to resourcing health services, sharing links on ongoing research, sharing links on how to access specific facilities or resources tailored on health promotion within these ethnic groups. We also have a lot of volunteers who join us. Our webinars are well attended from different countries. This is not limited to the UK. We have people join us from other countries such as Netherlands, Canada, Malaysia, Australia, United States, Nigeria, Ghana, and several other countries. We have volunteers that also act as champions that help move ALIBSA within their home country. We do have a platform as well, which is linked with a championship and volunteering platform, whereby we seek this platform to also mentor early career researchers who are really passionate about lifestyle-related conditions and community empowerment. Our vision for ALIBSA is to ensure that ALIBSA is global. We want to ensure that every country has an ALIBSA champion, and there will be community-driven led health literacy initiatives that would help empower people within the communities. Feel free to join our network. We will strive together to empower the Black and Asian communities. We will ensure we're able to reduce health inequalities within this network.